Welcome to No Notes. I'm Colby.
And I'm Alex.
And welcome to this week's episode.
So we spent another weekend apart.
I know.
How do you
I'm
feel?
So sad. A little refreshed, though.
Yeah, I think we need more weekends apart.
We just ignore each other for several months.
Yeah, so I went to Tahoe, which is about 4 hours from here. Got to spend some great time with friends that I don't spend too much time with.
Someone last night mentioned that all the gays are in Tahoe this weekend. Was there something going on?
No.
Did I miss a memo?
No. Well, I actually thought it was going to be pretty low key because next weekend is President's Weekend. So I just assumed that this weekend would be
chill.
Plus,
the SF gays in particular just had a big party weekend last weekend.
Yeah. But no, it was still pretty busy. I think it's because California got recently pummeled by those two atmospheric rivers. So this is the first weekend where we have snow in Tahoe.
Mm-hmm. Were you in South Lake or North Lake?
We were in North Lake.
Oh, I haven't done that part yet.
I haven't done it. This is my first time there, and I did it because our friends, they own their condo, so we stayed with them.
Were you skiing or snowboarding, or what did you do? No?
No, come on. I suck at both.
I know. You only look athletic. You're not actually athletic.
At all. No, so I snowshoed.
Oh.
I know.
I did that the last time we were there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How was that experience for you?
I didn't mind it. It was fine for 45 minutes or so. But then I'm just all right, get me the hell out of here.
When you took the step into the snow, did you fall through the snow?
No. Did you?
You know what? We'll get to it. We'll get to tops and bottoms.
Were you face down, ass up?
Oh, let's just say it was not Grindr 6 inches. It was real life 6 inches. So how was your weekend? What did you do?
Mine was okay. I ended up catching up with some friends yesterday. Went to a bit of a sketchy house party with a bunch of
what else is new?
Aging circuit queens.
Don't say that about yourself.
And then, lo and behold, I ended up at another party, appropriately named the dad party.
You slut. Of course you did.
And I want my money back because there were no dads there to be found there.
Oh, no.
So
wasn't that fun?
No, didn't get adopted.
What was the party called?
Dad.
Oh.
DAD. I think
it's telling you it's not going to be daddy. It's just going to be dads.
I know. I should have known. It was an abbreviation for something. I have no idea. But it turns out there was actually another party at Club 6 this weekend too.
On Friday?
No, last night. So the same venue that we went for Gemini last weekend, they hosted the Comfort and Joy group. I've not heard of that, but apparently everyone else had. They had I think it was Leather and Lace last night.
Oh, I think that's a reoccurring party.
Yeah.
I think I have heard of it.
So apparently the gays had not had enough of being fisted and needed another excuse.
I'm telling you, there's been a lot of parties in San Francisco. I think 2024 is going to be the resurgence of ticketed parties in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was about to say I'm looking forward to a little break from it, but we're headed to Mexico City this week. So
we'll see how we feel.
Preparing my body and mind for it.
God. Okay.
All right. It's time for Tops and Bottoms.
Tops and Bottoms, for the people that are just joining us for our first time, Tops and Bottoms is a segment we like to play every week, which we discuss a top and aka a highlight of the week, and the other will discuss a bottom or something bad that happened. We'll flip a coin to decide which one is going to be the top and which one's going to be the bottom. So heads or tails?
I will go tails for top.
It is heads. So I will do what I want, which is I want to talk about... I want the top this week.
Okay. You can have it.
So when I was in the cabin after snowshoeing, my friend Rob and I, we had the cabin to ourselves when we watched a new show called Couple to Thruple. It just came out this week. They've only released 3 episodes, and I think they're going to release 3 episodes at a time. It's 4 couples. 3 out of the 4 are heterosexual, male and female, and then there's 1 gay couple. And all of them have been together for a number of years, and they came to the show to get a third.
They can't leave anybody for anyone else. They've already found their one partner, so now they need another one.
They need a third one. And so there's 4 couples, and then they bring a giant group of singles. So they get one night to mingle with these singles, and then one by one, the couple's announced, and then the singles come forward if they're interested, and they get to choose. The couple gets to choose from the people that stepped up.
Is it the same collective group of singles? So the straight people are going for the same group of singles as the one gay couple?
Yes. So there's males and females, and all the singles are bisexual.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And of course, all the 3 straight couples only wanted a female.
Sure.
And then obviously the gay couple, one of them is actually bisexual, but they chose a guy. So it is, I was like, let's give it a chance. Let's watch it. We watched all 3 episodes straight to straight. It's so good. 3 out of the 4 are toxic, terrible. The gay couple is probably one of the most disastrous things to watch. It's kind of like when I watched it, it was reminiscent of the first season of Love is Blind, where you don't know what the hell is happening and no one knows how to act. It is so watchable. Like, you have to watch it. The gay couple is toxic. Like, one of them.
What's new?
Exactly. One of them. So the first night, they have the third. They start making out. One of them gets jealous that the other one is making. Yes.
Gay is like, jealous?
But it's also like, why are you on this show? Like, what did you think was going to happen?
I mean, I feel like one of them probably wants it more than the other.
But it is like, why would you be on a show? And they get them together like, yes, we're both like really wanting a third. They're in the bed, all 3 of them, making out. And as soon as the other one starts making out, it becomes instantly jealous. It is a train wreck. You have to watch it. They also, the one thing I will say is they treat the third like a piece of property. Like, that person is treated like shit by every single couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely will check it out.
You're not going to be able to stop. Like, once you start it, you're like, it's like a train wreck. They're toxic.
Are you looking for a third now?
No, after watching that, absolutely not. Oh my God, it's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I have lots of thoughts on
polyamory.
Yeah,
we'll do an episode. I think we need to do an episode.
Because I'm just curious, like, where does this person sleep? Like,
They have. I think it's a California king.
Still, it's not big enough.
But they have 3 sets of pillows.
Nope.
And it's funny because at the head of
imagine you're stuck between 2 snorers.
Yes. So at the head of the bed, or at the base of the bed, they have 2 pictures. One, the couple, and then the other picture is of the single.
Mm.
Oh, and I forgot to mention the most important part. At the end of 3 episodes, they get to do a swap. So they get to decide, do I want to keep this person that I chose from the first episode, or the same group of singles that you originally met, you get to swap.
So it's really just sampling the buffet.
Yes, that is the problem. That's why they're treated like shit. A lot of, like, half the cast is just there to, like, the guys just want to fuck 2 hot girls.
Mm.
That's essentially it. Oh my God, you have to watch it.
They should just give them a hall pass and call it a day.
I know. It'd be less messy.
Probably makes for great TV though. I'll have to check it out.
What's your bottom?
Okay. My bottom is the lawlessness here in San Francisco.
Oh God.
What the fuck is going on? Okay. In the last couple of days, we've had so many things happen to our friends. We had one that got jumped, just walking down the street, which is terrible. And that's one thing. And then the second one, we had a friend last night. They got hit by someone not paying attention in a car and hit him on a scooter.
Yeah.
So enough with this. Our people are being targeted. It's homophobic. San Francisco needs to get its shit together.
Yeah. And I also saw that they lit a Waymo on fire.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know.
Here in the city or like
too many
Bay
questions.
Area?
San Francisco. And San Francisco.
Although fair.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
I was like, every time I see these robocars, I just think of Wall-E.
Oh,
We can't.
You wouldn't be naming them.
Yeah. And you know how we talked about this last weekend. I named every inanimate object with an.
You know what the Waymos are? They're the city's new bison, like the ones in Golden Gate Park.
Oh, I thought you were thinking like a flying bison from Avatar.
No, we're just like, oh, look at the, caged animals, and then there's the Waymos. They're just stuck in the city grid, just
on fire, barely functioning.
I haven't been in one yet, but I kind of want to.
Also today, the Super Bowl. Can you name the 2 teams
The only thing is that I saw a TikTok that's like the same as 2020, I guess, because they were like, it's a repeat of the Super Bowl and the election candidates. But I have no idea.
No. I don't think. Wait. I don't know. I'm too gay to function, but I do know who's playing.
Okay, so who's playing?
It's San Francisco Niners and the Kansas City Chiefs.
And it's in Vegas?
It's in Vegas.
That part I knew.
Yeah, and of course, everyone's like paying attention this year because one of the star players from the Chiefs is dating Taylor Swift. Yeah, so everyone's going to be paying attention because they're going to see which stars are going to be there. Not just because Usher's performing the halftime, but because Taylor Swift brings her clique.
Have you seen conservative media is going like ham on Taylor Swift lately?
God,
and
so
I'm not a Swiftie. I don't think you are.
I will
either,
defend her,
but I'm kind of being converted to a Swiftie.
Yeah, like I will defend. Like it's kind of sexist.
It's totally sexist.
Come on,
it's just bullshit.
It's so dumb. She didn't. Yeah, whatever.
She didn't deserve any of this.
Yeah, I wonder who's gonna be coming though to the Super Bowl to hang out with Taylor Swift.
Who does she normally have in her posse?
Selena. The Hadid chicks, both Gigi and Bella.
Oh, Hadid's.
Yeah, and the Haim sisters.
Who's keeping an out for Selena?
Exactly.
I didn't even know she went out still.
What was that?
I didn't know she went out still. I haven't seen Selena in anything.
Oh God. Oh yeah, she's been on a ton.
Just the
that show on
Murders.
Hulu. Yeah, you know she's gonna be like some character in a biopic
about.
Some really famous Mexican American singer named I think it's like Leonard something.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever.
So her clique, she's okay.
Gonna be clique.
I guess I did kind of know that she's sort of infamous for this clique of girls around her.
Yeah, because if you do anything bad towards T Swift, famously, her clique and now her fans will come after you.
So she's kind of like us.
In high school,
they have Taylor, we have Mike.
Exactly. So in high school, what kind of clique were you a part of?
So I was probably in the little group of like overachiever nerds until late middle school. And then I think I switched a little bit to like a floater where I didn't really have any one particular group, but I associated with a lot of different people.
You're kind of a loser.
What about you? My guess is that you were probably a mixture of overachiever and class clown because I know you have a constant need for admiration.
So yeah, actually, that's actually pretty. We've talked about this because I was way too. There has to be.
No, I think I just know you really well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was in. When I think
you were the guy in class that was distracting everyone, probably just trying to make a joke and bring attention to yourself.
So one time when I was a sophomore in my Spanish class, it was like Spanish honors, so it wasn't just like regular. One of the TAs went up to me and was like, "Oh, like this is really funny, but you should probably like
chill out."
Yeah, basically. I was like, oh, am I distracting? Although when I was a kid, I would always get the low marks for distracting, like great student, but talks during instruction, and which is the classic gay curse.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was exactly in that type of clique. All my friends were like in AP courses, the advanced placement courses.
Same.
But it was like a mixture of like jocks and it's just like overachievers.
But you weren't a jock or
I was not
a popular kid.
I was not, but like, my friends like, Dino and Blake, like they were all superstars in sport. But yeah, it was like overachievers is what connected us all.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like, I feel like in movies and television, there's always this perception that cliques are like pretty girls, jocks. And that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like a mixture. It's more
nuanced than that.
It's way more nuanced.
One of those interesting things in high school where you sort of, everybody wants to be the popular people, but at the same time, they also hate them and despise them. And I think about it now, like where those people have ended up. And it seems universally true that the popular clique, it's always the people that like high school is where They peak.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better.
You can always tell which ones are kind of going to be like that, because unless you're in an overachiever type of group, you're going to peak in high school.
And people that often peak in high school, I feel like, are the ones that reach sexual maturity really early on. So they're like prettier, hotter in high school, and those fizzle out fast. Like, I don't think any of the quote unquote hot guys or girls from my high school still look great today. Like, don't look like what they used to.
Yeah, they definitely, like, the high they got in high school, they try to chase forever, and they
never get it back.
They never get it back. That's where they peak. You have to be in unless you're like in AP courses. From my high school, you peaked.
What else about cliques?
So I actually kind of defend cliques. I think that they're necessary for the same reasons that politics are necessary. So
interesting. Tell me more.
When I vote for a Democrat, I know exactly what they're going to stand for on abortion, social justice issues. There's going to be some nuances, but it's generally the same thing. Like, you're going to support universal, or you're going to support some form of affordable healthcare, housing, and social issues, abortion. Same thing with cliques. Like, the type of person or the type of clique you're hanging out with, I know what kind of person you are.
So you sort of see it as like an alignment of values or shared interests.
Right. So I think that cliques are aligned based on, something that they have in common, whether that be how they act around people. They could be nice. Content creators, they align themselves in a certain way. And there are certain people or certain types of cliques here in San Francisco that I'm aware of, and I know if certain people associate with them, I'm probably not going to be very interested in hanging out with them. So I'm going to avoid them. Yeah. So I think cliques are kind of necessary and important.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's something really primitive about our desire to want to surround ourselves with like-minded people. So I think like that's sort of what you're speaking to. It's really interesting to me, like the prevalence of cliques in adulthood. I think it still exists in like straight culture. Like, there's layers of that in like suburbia and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of ironic to me that our like queer people kind of suffered a lot from the, hierarchy or structure of cliques in high school. And then once we become adults, we build up those same structures all over again.
And like I said, it is bad when the interest is negative. So, but like you shouldn't be forced to hang out with every single person. Yeah. Especially if you don't get along with them. That's what friends are for. That's what a group of friends is for. Not everyone's going to fall in that category.
Which I will like add that there's a difference between like the tribes within gay culture and cliques. So we have like the tribes where once again we have to apply some label of like twinks, bears, otters, all that sort of stuff. But then like there is very much like a sort of social hierarchy that like the kinds of things you get invited to, the like destinations you go on vacation on, all that sort of is grounded in the same criteria that you experience in high school, which is like, how attractive are you? Who do you know? What resources do you have, etc. And it's kind of sucks to see that like as an adult still.
Yeah, when the common interest is you trying to have sex with the other person.
That too. Yeah, like how good are you in bed?
And we've all seen those groups on Instagram. Like, you see these groups of gays that are all muscly and white. Their common interest is to have sex with each other. And what happens to them? Half of the time, their group falls apart. They have to align with other people. Like, it's not a healthy relationship. It goes back to the conversation we had in the Velvet Rage episode, where if you can't have a platonic relationship like that, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And I will admit, like, I think my people in particular, the white gays, are like the worst about these sort of things too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You should go repent yourself for being associated with white.
Go whip myself.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, I'm really proud of, because you are the one that kind of connects our group of friends here in San Francisco, and we're really diverse, like body shape, race, like we're all,
everyone has an accent except for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like our common interest is basically like the way we interact with other people, we treat.
I think I just have a way of like when I meet people of like sort of feeling them out, engaging them. Like, so this is one of the first things I feel like anyone will ask you is, what do you do? And if someone does that, I immediately kind of lose interest in them because I feel like they're trying to like size a little bit about like, you know, where you might have gone to school and like what kind of field you're in and whether that meets the kind of criteria, the screening criteria they have. And that like weeding that question out in particular has actually made me like meet more authentic people, I think.
Yeah, I could see that. However, I will be self-critical right now. And if I met someone like for a friend and if I found out that they like were a fast food worker and they were my age in their 30s, I would probably be a little hesitant and make some inferences.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of judgment and stigma in that, right?
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying because I feel similar to that sometimes, really, because I think about like, is this person, you know, gonna be
the right fit and able to do the things we like to do?
Right fit's not like the right word per se, but I would say like, are they going to be able to hang with us? Like, when I'm thinking of these people I meet, like I'm trying to think about how often we'll be able to see each other, hang out, go places. And I get that is in itself quite limiting, right? It's hard to do a lot of these things if you don't have a lot of resources. And we've talked about this. This is actually a really challenging part of like gay society, that we operate in that way, and we should try to be a little more open-minded.
Yeah. I mean, which is why I applaud groups like Gemini that had the BIPOC pricing.
Yeah. Trying to remove barriers.
Yeah. I think that's like a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And that's not just within like gay culture too. I think society in general looks down on people that haven't achieved some certain status or income or something like that by a given age in life. Yeah. And we should just try to be better about not doing that and try to meet people where they are.
On the other side, have you ever been or felt excluded by a clique that you were trying to, or a group of people that you're trying to, you know, be closer with, and they kind of shoved you to the side?
I mean, if I'm being like super transparent and honest, I think I feel excluded a lot of the time within the community. Like I'm a skinnier, leaner guy, which I realize a lot of people would look at that and just be like, you know, that's in some people's eye, like the model gay stature, you know what I mean? Of just being like a twink frame. But you actually still, like, a lot of people won't talk to you, acknowledge you, like, even if you're trying to be friends with them, just because you're not like a big old dumb like muscle gay.
Do you feel like these big dumb white muscle gays have more social capital within the gay community?
For sure. I mean, like, we'll use you as an example, not as a white gay, but like you're a muscly guy. We like walk into a party together, like 9 out of 10 times, I feel like people are gonna immediately look at you, acknowledge you, talk to you first, and like they maybe talk to me, which is like fine. Like a lot of the people we interact with, I often feel like I wouldn't bond that well with anyway. And I think you end up coming to the same conclusion most of the time too. But I think we probably often experience very different social interactions with people. And I don't know, like if you're aware of it probably as much as I am, but I don't know. I see like the way that different people treat you and me just based on like our physical differences.
Yeah. I feel that. And I definitely have seen it. I don't think it's
when I'm the funnier one.
I don't think it's, I definitely have seen that. I will be honest. I have seen that, but I don't think it's as prevalent, at least like as common. Like it's not like we go to every single event space.
No. I always think it's funny too when I see it happen, because I can see someone that's like trying to get with, you know, like one of my friends like you or someone else. Yeah. And they might be like dismissive of me because I'm a different, you know, type than they're into or what. And I'm like, you're probably not going to be like friends with this person if you're not friends with me, transparently, right? Like they just don't have an understanding of like our relationships.
And it's also just transparent. Like it's extremely obvious.
So obvious
when people are trying to do that.
Yeah. And it's the same. I mean, if someone was really chatty and friendly to me, but was dismissive of like my really close friends, I wouldn't respect that person. Right. Like that's just how I operate.
Yeah. I when I was in college, I rushed a fraternity. And then I ended up pledging with like the like biggest douchebag frat, because my friend also was doing it. And he's really good looking, and he's white and athletic, and so this was like the only person that I knew, so I was going forward with it. And then at like 6 weeks into it, I realized, I'm gay, like I can't join. So I ended up dropping out, and he continued to go forward with it. And from that moment on, I felt like excluded. Mm-hmm. Like I was like this is what cool looks like. Like I feel like college was the last time where I felt like I was like purposely excluded from this clique. Like this is a paid clique. They get to hang out with the cool people. They, have the parties. They have people over. They are the popular kids, and everyone knows it. Mm-hmm. And like that's the last time I felt like really, really excluded.
I was gonna ask, have you, as an adult, you don't feel this in the professional workplace ever?
I do. So I'm kind of going through a weird period where I am starting on a new job, mm-hmm. and I see people interacting with, but I don't think it's so obvious that I feel excluded, especially the circle I am, just because it's like niche within that company. Mm-hmm. So, but I have seen coworkers like get together, and
because I feel like, I guess you haven't really worked in traditional corporate America. You're like just now dipping your toe in sort of a corporate role, but I've always observed very much a bit of a boys club culture.
Oh yeah.
And it's very like straight male dominant. And then there's a lot of layers within that. Like they're all into the same things. They dress the same, they're into sports, etc. And as like an openly gay man and someone who can often dress different or whatever, like I often won't fit into that role, and I can feel a bit excluded. That being said, I actually have made a lot of close straight friends in the corporate environment, but I still see that clique sort of structure.
Yeah, I should have mentioned this before, but yeah, all the people at my previous job, the people in power were always white straight males.
Yeah, and it's a little bit how it seems like you get to the top is you have to be able to play that game.
Yeah.
And
you know what? Honestly, a lot of the times it's hard to interact with these people because their go-to like phrase or topic to talk about is always fucking sports.
Always.
And I'm like, what am I supposed, like, I'm not going to watch 32 games a week so I can catch up on your little code. Like, and I don't know what's going on.
To me, it's also insignificant. Like, if your team loses, guess what? They play again later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who cares?
People think we're crazy because we watch every RuPaul variation around the country.
Well, if you're still watching it, you're pretty crazy at this point.
Oh, I know, but they have to watch baseball, basketball, football, and their fantasy league. Like it's ridiculous.
Have all this knowledge, and then God forbid you get forced to go out to some fucking trivia night, and it's all sports knowledge.
My God.
Who knows all this shit?
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? God. Well, do you want to talk about why we're talking about cliques so much?
Yes, because this week's No Notes section is actually Mean Girls. We are going to talk about both Mean Girls original, and we actually saw the new Mean Girls that came out this past month. So do you want to start off the discussion with the original Mean Girls?
Yeah, let's do it. Can I tell you, I had not realized that it had been 20 years since the original Mean Girls.
Really? When did you make the connection that it's been 20 years?
When I was looking up like the original cast and I saw the 2004.
Do you remember watching it the first time?
I don't know. I don't know if I saw it like right when it first came out or if I saw it later. I feel like I saw it on HBO or something.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it.
Like in the theaters.
I couldn't watch it because it was gay. Like it was female driven. So no one. I had two older brothers. Who's gonna take me?
Yeah.
Like what? Like there is but as soon as I watched it and when it came out later, I realized that this like was gay culture. This is like super important.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I actually had that as something I wanted to talk about. Is that it's one of those movies that is so queer coded.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why so many queer people were into this film is that it was like watching a queer movie without it being outrightly queer.
Yeah.
Like I think of like Wizard of Oz, Burlesque, even things like a Britney Spears music video that we've talked about. These things are gay, you know, or feel gay, even if they aren't outwardly so. So you could be watching it with your family and it not feel like you're watching something that labeled you as gay. If that makes sense. That's how I felt about it.
I feel like any sort of movie that is
overly feminine, or
not just overly feminine, but that is clearly talking about a social issue that's common among females. Like Easy A comes to, right, because they're talking about sexuality within a female. That is also another great movie, and I would say among the same type of genre as Mean Girls. But every time a movie focuses on social commentary, especially amongst young people, whether that's high school sexualization of them, like I feel like it's always feminine driven.
I wonder how much of that is like more complicated by like the Latino machismo culture that we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
Because there's just more emphasis on what it means to be like manly and masculine.
And it's the appearance, right? Mean Girls, if you see the movie cover, it's pink and it's all females on the cover. So it gives the appearance of a female flick.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask you like more broadly why you think this movie 20 years later still has such a chokehold on gay culture.
Because it was so clever at the time. Like not only was it funny, written by Tina Fey, like really hilariously, but it also talked about certain things. I think my go-to idea is the Halloween dress up, that monologue that talks about Halloween is the only time of the year where a girl can dress up like a total slut and not be judged. And at that time before that, like no one had, like everyone participated, but no one said it out loud. And it wasn't until that movie said it.
Yeah.
You know, it's all these things. It was so smart. It was so ahead of its time. Like, applaud Tina Fey for it.
Yeah. One thing I feel like it did really well is there's definitely an element of campiness to it and absurdity, but you also knew characters like the people they were portraying. Like, it also felt fairly realistic.
Yeah. The Regina George character, that was a certain person at every single high school.
Was that the same girl that said "ooh" about you?
I would say yes. In 5th grade, she was definitely the Regina George.
She was on track to be Regina.
Yeah. I mean, she probably did become her.
Yeah. Another reason I feel like it stayed so relevant is just the lines that movie gave us.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you Googling Coco. Yeah. Her hair is so big because it's full of secrets.
And the delivery, like you have to think that not only was the writing sharp, but the cast that delivered it was phenomenal. Every single person really killed it. If anyone kind of sucked, I thought it was Lindsay. Like if you rewatch it.
Oh, really?
I think Lindsay is definitely the weakest link. She was the main character, but I think she was
the original cast.
Of the original cast, I think Lindsay is the weakest one.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of controversial, huh?
That is controversial. You might get flamed after this. Okay, well, obviously Mean Girls has been really important in our culture, and now here we are 20 years later with a new film. Also, though, there was a second Mean Girls, which I have not seen, and we won't talk about.
Did watch.
Wait,
I
no,
have
you did?
It. I didn't watch it for this, but I have seen it.
Okay, so we then have to talk about it. Is it any good?
No, it's terrible. The only returning cast member is the principal.
Oh, so he's like a common
character
in all three of them.
ABC Family like flick. Like it's awful. It's the Hallmark equivalent.
Also, you have to be really ballsy and confident to take on that without involving Tina Fey.
Yeah, like they must have paid her a ton, but she wasn't in the movie. Maybe she was like a producer and just got money from it, but
I doubt it.
It was awful. Absolutely.
I think I've seen a trailer and I was like, no.
Yeah, so
brain
bad.
Rot.
It doesn't deserve to be in the same universe.
All right, like so let's talk about the new one. So
I think we should begin with the good.
Oh well, even before that, we should talk about the trailer.
Oh, the controversy. So I don't know what their thought was, because was it to trick people?
So what Alex is talking about is the trailer does not make it clear that it's a musical.
Yeah.
There's not one of the performances or montages shown in the trailer.
And they didn't name it Mean Girls the Musical.
Right.
It's just completely
I mean, to me, it obviously is fairly deceptive marketing.
Yeah.
And I guess it's wondering like whether that bet paid off or not, because I don't know if everyone's into musicals. Like I'm not. Are you a musical person?
Not a musical person. I think that they should have at least, there's no way to avoid it. They should have put it in there.
They should have just owned it.
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels like
what's the point of why even take this product if you're not willing to?
Well, it feels like they're not confident in what they made. But also, if you're not into musicals and you go see this,
sadly, very disappointed.
So, I mean, it is a very musical heavy movie, and yeah, we can talk about the critique a little bit. But you want to start with pros?
Yeah. So I think,
what did you love about it?
Honestly, I think it was the strongest when it was in its musical element.
Really?
Yeah, and I think so. I think it's the strongest because it felt the most different. It felt the most individual. So whenever you make a remake or a sequel to something, you have to be able to answer why now.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
And I felt like it's strongest when it's different from the original. And I felt like it was the most original when it was the musical sequences.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a favorite of the musical sequences?
I think it was anything with Renee Rapp.
I agree with that. My favorite scene was the Halloween one. So there was originally the sexy one
at the beginning.
At the beginning of the Halloween scene. And then Renee Rapp's performance, Someone Gets Hurt, where she has the kiss scene with Aaron Samuels' character. I thought that was incredible.
I thought it was, the way they filmed it, I thought Renee Rapp, she ate.
The choreography was hot.
She ate.
She did eat. She looked good.
And also another positive is Renee Rapp's lip syncing compared to everyone else is so much better. She does like the lip quiver that good drag queens do.
So one of the things I really loved about this movie is that it really just like the queer characters owned being queer. Like Janice, it was never like confirmed that she was a lesbian in the original movie, right? It was just like a nasty rumor.
Yeah.
But in this case, like the whole beef with her and Regina's character is because she gives that stuffed animal with like the it was a pride pin, right? And to come out to her. And she's like seen throughout the movie with like a pride bracelet on, and in the prom scene she has a proper date to it. It's not just Damien. So I really love that they just owned that this time.
Yeah, I do appreciate that they just went for it. And I felt like some of the things that were done, especially with Katie's character, I felt like at the end, Katie was more villainous.
Yes.
Like when Regina George went up to the table after she had gained weight and she was wearing sweatpants and was told, you can't sit with us. Renee Rapp looks at Katie and was like, hey, like, what do you think? And she just was a straight up bitch. Was like, you can't sit with us. And I felt like I was like, that's great. Like, it's a divergence from the original, and it becomes more unique.
Yeah, I would say for me, the strongest part of this remake is that it has largely retained the general spirit of the first movie. So all the key scenes are still there. Like, so we mentioned the Halloween party, right? There's the talent show,
which is amazing. I loved that scene. Like, instead of singing Jingle Bell Rock, they just do a slutty, like dancing around the pole.
It was called rocking around the pole.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. It's like super sexual. It's slightly different, right? But they kept the same sort of feel to it.
And I love that Regina's mom has the ring light.
Yeah.
Just the way they updated it for the current social media age, I thought was funny.
I also thought that the rap scene prior to the dancing was also really funny.
Kevin Napour's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was slightly different. It was a different song than the original.
It was longer. Yeah. I'm assuming that this is also in the musical on Broadway, and they made it into like a full-on rap song. Hilarious. The actor killed it.
There was a funny line in it, but I can't remember it. We had both taken edibles when we went to go see the movie, so half of my notes were like scribbles. Gibberish. It was really dark in there.
Yeah. What did you think about Busy Phillips, who played Regina George's mom?
Are we moving to cons?
It's a con? It was a positive.
Okay, we'll talk about why it was a positive.
So I thought that, again, you can never, unless you have Amy Poehler do that same role, you're never going to have someone that does the same thing. So I'm glad that Busy Phillips didn't do like the breast thing, like or the do you want to drink? I prefer that you do it inside. Any of those lines.
I mean, Amy Poehler is like such a titan of comedy,
right? You cannot try to duplicate. So I'm glad that all the lines were completely different, but they kept the same sort of ditzy mom. Mm-hmm. And I thought Busy Phillips, she plays the same character. She plays basically the same character in White Chicks.
Yeah,
and I love that they kept her. She was a great casting for that.
Agreed. Another pro that I had was the actor that played Shane Oman in this one.
Oh, really?
Ryan Altimus, super hot.
Wait, which one? Shane Ullman?
Yeah, that's the one that Regina's hooking up. Yeah.
He didn't have a single line in this movie.
No, but he was really hot.
Was he? I couldn't
He's
remember.
kind of got like the cleaner cut mullet thing going on in it.
I do remember that.
He has a really sharp jawline. He looks really good. Honestly, I think he would have been a better choice for Aaron Samuels.
Yeah, I have a lot of notes.
Okay, we'll come back to the Aaron Samuels character. But yes, super hot. We could do with some more of him. And then my final pro, I loved, and sorry to spoil this, but the Lindsay Lohan cameo.
Oh, I didn't.
We're so divided on our opinions of this movie.
Why did you like it?
No, it's just I didn't know that she was gonna be in it.
It was a nice surprise.
It was a nice surprise. I wouldn't say she delivered those lines. But I really enjoyed just seeing her, and I was kind of like, could we have like gotten a little more of her? Like, okay, let's come back to this in the cons.
Yeah.
But do you want to move on to the cons, or do you have
I
more?
have one more.
Okay.
I thought that Jaquil Spivey, who played Gay Damien.
Jaquil Spivey. Yeah.
I thought he did an amazing job. I was like, okay, this is a person that could.
I also have a difference in opinion.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, let me finish my thought.
No, he was really good. Like his
delivery of lines,
his musical performance and delivery of lines was fantastic. I will agree with
funny. I thought that was like a great character to have on there.
Yeah,
but that was my last pause.
This is so funny that it's just like we exact opposite opinions on everything. Okay, let's move to the cons. So I will like start this one off. I think are the characters, and this is gonna be really kind of judgmental, but are the characters even believable as Mean Girls?
No. Okay. Oh my! Let's just start off with the casting, and let's start off with the plastics. I thought that Renee Rapp ate. I thought that.
But is she a believable Regina?
Yeah, I thought so.
No.
I would be afraid of her if she told me, "Hey, little fag," I'd be running.
No.
Really?
No. She's not like. So the original Regina, right, she was both your best friend and your enemy, like, or worst enemy, like instantaneously, like all at once. She could play both of those.
She played the scary person at all times.
She was a very good Two-Face character. Mm-hmm. Whereas I never really got that from this new Regina. She was basically either just bitchy or trying to be sexy. So it wasn't clear how she could be like the most popular girl in school.
I actually have to agree with you on that one. I think you're totally right. The way that Rachel McAdams played Regina George originally was very more nuanced. It had that depth where at the beginning when she's like saying hi to Katie, it seems like she's being nice. But Renee Rapp's version, it kind of seems like she's being a bitch the entire time. You're totally right. I think the Rachel McAdams version is more nuanced.
It's a more fleshed out character.
Yeah. I think you're totally right on that.
What about the other two plastics?
Oh my God. Can we get into Karen's character? So obviously in the original one, Amanda Seyfried cannot be replicated.
That was actually like a breakout role for Amanda Seyfried.
Exactly. And she did hilarious, right? That entire character is almost built from one-liners.
Yes.
And this one... And
super believable. Like I've met a million Karens.
This one, it was a character of a character of a character. Like, it was such a bad impression.
So, I mean...
Cringe.
So dumb. Like unbelievably dumb.
Yeah.
And not in like a charming or funny way. It was cringe. It was unnecessarily stupid.
It was cringe. Like the actress, I'm sure is more talented in other areas. Acting for Karen and Mean Girls, terrible decision. Mm-hmm. I would have like I would have read this, I would have seen this audio tape of whatever she tried to audition, and I would have cut it immediately. Like,
Yep.
She was terrible.
BB Woods, who plays Gretchen as well, same thing. We're not getting this like richness of the backstory of these characters, so you don't fall in love with them, and they feel like they're just there.
Yeah.
Whereas both Gretchen and Karen in the original one, there was something kind of like amusing and charming about both of them.
The acting is just so much better. Yeah. That's ultimately what it is. This goes also for Janice when they're trying. So they're strongest when they're trying to be different. But when Mean Girls the musical is trying to be similar, either delivering the same lines, it comes off as cringy.
Yeah. And I want to come back to my complaints about Janice, actually, because it's more nuanced. But we talked about the plastics. Let's talk about Katie.
Oh my God. Not believable. So she comes off as the sweet girl really well, but that transition, there was no. She just was trying to be mean, and it wasn't believable.
It just goes 0 to 100 real fast.
Yeah.
There's no like real transition period.
Yeah. She, at least what I could appreciate from Lindsay, is that you can see the descent into Mean Girl.
Mm-hmm. Also, her musical performances, they're the worst of all of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought whatever Karen was in was the worst. I was like, get her off the screen. But when Karen did her stupid like TikTok dance, and then there was something else like at the party, at the Halloween party. Oh, it was
the Karen one is the
bad.
first part of the Halloween. It's like sexy, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
It's so stupid.
But Katie's, I just could not.
Not believable.
I could not get into that character. I really couldn't. So I know you really liked Damien's performances. I thought his performances were strong, but he felt like such a stereotype to me.
Gay best friend?
Well, and have you seen Kimmy Schmidt?
Yeah.
So Titus and Dramadan, it felt like that's what they had given him as the assignment, and he just gave that exact character.
You're totally right. And you know what? Tina Fey produced Kimmy Schmidt.
And so, and it feels exactly like that character. And I feel like this movie, so in trying to deliver this in 2024, you could tell that there were a lot of things that, like social commentary things that they had tried to update, like sex shaming and things like that. But then they still give you this very like trope of a queer character. And I really would have loved to see them turn that on its head a little bit, like make him be less of the comedic relief and maybe like a jock or something, like just play with that a little bit more. But that's separate from the actor and the character, right? The actor, I think, did a really great job delivering the assignment. That character, I just don't think was great.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I agree with you that I think that it is giving gay best friend vibes.
Yeah. Well, because they played with Janice's character, right? Like she wasn't just like the angry goth emo lesbian anymore.
And they gave you a rich backstory.
Right.
Like this very specific that is fucked up and it was homophobic.
Totally.
And it gives you a reason for her to actually hate Regina George.
Yeah. So like Janice's character just saw more development and change from the first one than Damien. And I would just love to have seen them do more with that.
What did you think about the returning characters? Tina Fey, the principal?
I didn't really see any like value in them being there. Not from the first one. I liked both of them more in the first one.
Oh, really?
What about you?
Yeah, I thought that they didn't do bad. I thought like of all the decisions done in this movie, that's like the least of my concern.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like it felt like they were just there because they were in the original. Like they could have been replaced with anybody else and delivered those same lines, and you wouldn't have noticed. I felt like
I forgot to mention I did love John Hamm as the gym teacher.
Right.
That was really funny.
And that's actually one of the scenes where they've updated. I don't know if you noticed that the sex education piece, it was about like not choking people.
Yeah.
So like they clearly tried to make this approach to like deal with some more of the problematic parts of the movie.
They also removed him, that coach having sex with the students.
Yes, which some of the things were like good removals, like
the N-word.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, and the lunch cafeteria scene where there's like the Asian nerds and the cool Asians.
Oh, and I forgot that Gretchen Wieners at the end is speaking. She's speaking a foreign language at the end because she's the leader of the Asian groups, the cool Asians. They removed that.
I forgot that. And it's interesting that they like what they chose to address versus not.
Yeah.
Like they still left the body image stuff, like the Caltine bar thing, and sort of fat shaming Regina George's character a bit. And then also just the main part of this is like this really smart lead who dumbs herself down for a guy. Like, I don't know. I feel like if they were really trying to update this in 2024, they could have switched the like genders, roles of these characters. They could have played with this more and given you something like new and fresh rather than just like recreate something from 20 years ago.
Yeah. So I said Renee Rapp's lip syncing was like really great. Everyone else's was like a half second off.
I don't think I noticed it, but it was probably the edibles.
Oh, maybe. But I was noticing it and I was like, everyone else is so bad. Particularly Katie. Her lip syncing, awful.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Would have gotten eliminated.
I mean, I just noticed how bad her actual voice was or the auto tune that they had like layered over it, that I was just, those tracks were trash.
Yeah, they were trash. I want to talk about my biggest concern with this adaptation.
Okay.
Aaron Samuels.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
He looks like if you drew a face on a deflated balloon and then blew it up and like the face gets closer together while the head gets bigger and bigger. There's something about, he's just not cute. Like Aaron Samuels is supposed to be hot. They could have just they could have just gone to Hollywood and gotten the hottest guy.
Just pulled some random guy off the street.
Like, it's not like he has a really difficult line. You know, anyone could read these lines, and they chose someone that's ugly.
I agree with that, but you know what? Like, and this is just my opinion, but I don't think the Katie in this movie is as attractive as Lindsay Lohan, but I'm also a Lindsay Lohan stan.
Yeah.
So like, it's okay that the male like hot character is not as attractive. I guess it makes sense for her character. Did
you think that it was like inappropriate?
He was okay, but it's what I said. The guy that plays Shane Oman is significantly more attractive.
Yeah.
And I see why Regina George was cheating. I have two really big problems with this movie, apart from what we've mentioned. So I know you felt differently, but I thought what they did to June George was awful. The person playing June George, Busy Phillips, who I've loved in so many other films. I mean, phenomenal in White Chicks. Yeah. I just don't think she delivered anywhere near what Amy Poehler delivered as Regina's mom.
Oh, really?
And maybe it's the era, but something about the Juicy Couture tracksuit and the like her boob job and Khaleesi's milkshake performance. It was all just such.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have expected them to recreate all of that exactly as it was, because I don't think it would make sense today. But I don't know. She just wasn't giving to me.
Oh, that's sad. I loved her in it.
And here's my number one problem with this film.
What?
Were any of the lines funny or memorable?
No.
Like, we talked about this. So many things that came out of the first one. You know, we wear pink on Wednesdays. You can't sit with us. All these things. Where are any of those lines?
They should have just gotten rid of all those lines. Wait, did they get rid of those lines?
Some of them remained, like You Go Glen Coco was still in there. On Wednesdays We Wear Pink was still in there.
But
it wasn't funny or fresh. It wasn't delivered well, but there also weren't really that many new lines that I will see on t-shirts and people reciting and gay people making their entire personality for 10 years.
Yeah. I thought the best example of how terrible and cringy those lines were the white set vagina line. When they were like, oh, someone said that I wrote in the book that I'm lying about my virginity because I use jumbo-sized tampons, but I can't help if I have a white set vagina, heavy flow. It was delivered that me reading that line was more powerful than the actress from the movie. It was so bad. I wanted to throw a tomato.
There was only one line in the movie that I thought was funny, and it was really just because like what my brain's response to it was. So there's one scene where Katie comes into the classroom with like some jersey on, and Aaron Samuels comments on it, and she goes, "Thanks, it smells like sausage from the last time I wore it." And my brain was like, every one of my jock straps.
Did you notice the product placement of the lip gloss?
No. Oh, wait, was it Elf?
Yes. So there was two. One where Katie was applying it, and Janice Ian goes, "Hey, what lip gloss is that?" And she goes, "Oh, this is Elf level 318." And then Janice is like, "Well, I was just asking to see if like you're actually paying attention to us." And then they play that again when Gretchen Wieners dumps her purse in the sink, and it's the Elf lipstick.
It's funny to me now that you asked about it, and I didn't think I had noticed it.
Yeah.
And then my brain's instantly recalling, oh, Elf brand.
Yeah.
So clearly it's like an effective placement.
I'm like, how poor were you guys that you guys needed to rely on Elf lip gloss to get this movie off the ground?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, I have some questions about it
Okay.
now that we've seen both.
I have answers.
Do you think this movie stands on its own?
No, it goes back to if you're going to make a sequel or going to redo the movie, you have to be able to answer why now. And there's no reason this movie should exist.
So I feel a little conflicted because I think one of the things that makes it not so great is the constant comparison to the original, because you know how funny it was seeing that the first time, and even still watching the first one over again, and I know the lines are coming, it's still funny, like the delivery of it. Whereas this one, it doesn't feel fresh or new or anything, but at the same time, I feel like if you had never seen the first one, you didn't have that to compare it to, you might enjoy it, especially if you're into musicals.
I thought that you wouldn't get it unless you see the original.
It is fair. Like, so we talked about that there's so many musical performances in it, and there's not enough dialogue. They really should have cut back on a lot of the tracks and had more dialogue, and I think the movie would have made more sense. It almost rests on the fact that you've seen the first one and know where the story is going.
Agreed. Because they kind of shorten certain things, so you kind of have to watch the first one to get what's happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can't stand on its own.
Yeah, I'm kind of agree with you. I don't think that 10 years from now anyone will be quoting any of the lines
at all
from the remake.
No.
I think like if they were gonna remake this, and it's kind of the comment that you made, what they really should have done is, and I get it's not just a remake, right? It's a musical. It's a different adaptation of it. But I think if you were going to bring Mean Girls back 20 years later, what they should have done is had that cast as adults now with their own teenagers, because even the timing makes sense, right? It's been 20 years. Like if they had 5 or 6 years college and some break, they would basically be raising teenagers now. Yeah. And so the timing of that makes sense. It also just would have been fun, I think, to see what that would look like. That would have been how I would have remade it, I think.
Yeah, but good thing they didn't, because then Lindsay Lohan would have to come back and deliver more of those lines.
And she struggled. And
man, it just seemed like she was built by AI. Like there's not a thought.
Lindsay's been through a lot, okay? And she's more put together than some of her peers from that period.
She was just reading lines and then smile. And I'd be like, God, this is bad.
I think we talked about her like Hallmark Christmas movie or something too that was just also so really bad. Like I love Lindsay. I would love I'm very nostalgic for her, I will say, but she's done, I think.
She needs like a brain transplant. Have you seen Poor Things?
Yeah, is it Poor Things or Pretty Things? I can't remember. With Emma Stone. Yeah. Love it.
I loved it too, but she needs the operation. She needs the operation.
The same could be said for you.
And for you.
I wanted to say, I also felt this was unnecessary because I think we already have the new version of Mean Girls, which is Bottoms.
Oh, I was going to say your TikTok live.
Fuck you.
No, Bottoms is, yeah. Oh, we have to talk about, I don't know how much we want to get into.
No, so Bottoms is Mean Girls, but flipped on its head, right? Like the unpopular or loser crowd becomes the it girls, and it's even like kind of feminist in a way because it's all about them claiming their power back, right? Yeah. Like they're badass in a way. And
it has to do a lot with, the female perception, sexuality. I mean, it's...
The main characters are queer.
Yeah.
It's a diverse cast, which I think the original Mean Girls was pretty diverse too. Just some of the way they approached those conversations weren't great.
Yeah.
But Bottoms overall, hilarious lines. again, more feminist film than like the traditional Mean Girls, and it's the same sort of concept but in the modern day context.
Yeah. And they do a great job of it's a smart film,
so smart,
and it's delivered so well. I mean, you've seen the amount of lines that they give actually at the end during the credits, where they go through alternative lines.
Yes,
like you see that this actor actually knows what they're doing. The directors know.
Well, I think a lot of it was like ad-libbed.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, they did a great description.
The improvisation's just crazy,
fantastic. But they also clearly understood what the character's supposed to be when you're able to do that.
Yeah, and I think it didn't help that I've seen Bottoms a few times and I loved it so much, because when I was watching this, I was just like, I was also comparing it to that film, where it's just like, this is not delivering. It feels shallow and hollow compared to Bottoms.
There's just not the depth that Bottoms had. I mean, I think Bottoms is a great film to talk about. Like every couple of years, there's always this like female-driven comedy. Yep. It's Mean Girls, Easy A. I think Bottoms is a great movie of our time, of like, are the new Mean Girls. Like I think you're totally right. Yeah. And
I mean, I love Tina Fey. Like, she's Baby Mama is one of those movies I go back to and watch all the time. You talked about, she is a part of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which is hilarious. Also amazing. So she's done like modern projects that are hilarious and keep us entertained, but this is not it, girl.
Yeah, this is not it. She needs Amy Poehler back.
Let's just put Mean Girls behind us. Yeah, not everything needs to be remade, brought back. Let it. It was great, and you can watch the old one and it still feel relevant to me. So let's just leave it at that.
Exactly. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
All right. Well, I think that's our notes for the week.
All right. See you guys next week.
All right. See ya. Hey, it's Colby and Alex here. Thank you for listening to No Notes.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts and share with your friends.
You can also follow us on Instagram at No Notes Pod, one word, where you'll find updates on new episodes and see more into our lives and the stories that we share with you on the show.
Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep it real and keep it queer.